My name is Caitlin Novoselsky, and for my audience today, my friend Regina, my friend Virginia, my friend Brittany, my grandma Betty, my friend John, and my Aunt Jen. Before I start, does everybody have the audience analysis? Alright, awesome. Okay. So, today I'm going to be talking to you about a subject not many people know about. I'm going to talk to you about human trafficking. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically modern-day slavery. These people are enslaved for labor, domestic services, organ transportation, and for the most part, sexual services. I'll explain these later in detail so you know what they all mean. This practice is very alive in Asian and European countries and in the United States. Shocking, I know. Foreign people and Americans are stolen from where they live and sold elsewhere. If you remember my first survey question, I asked, did you guys think human trafficking is a problem in today's world? Most of you knew that. So now I'm going to give you statistics on how bad it really is. It is men who run this evil industry and women and children who are the victims. According to Farida Akhtar, it is estimated that 600,000 to 800,000 people are victims of this each year. As said by Carol Ann Gamino, human trafficking is the world's second largest criminal enterprise, tying with the arms of trade and falling closely behind the illegal drug industry. Yet, human trafficking goes unnoticed. Do you understand this problem, that human enslavement is almost as big as illegal drugs? This is terrible, huh? This is a huge number of people sucked into this horrible world. This needs to be stopped. This is a human rights issue because human trafficking is stealing these rights. I thought slavery was abolished. I'm going to throw the cold hard truth at you. When you first hear the topic, you think it's foreigners and immigrants who are creating this problem. I'm here to tell you that it's not just immigrants. This could happen to you. This problem is coming to our country, our states, and our towns. If we don't do something, you might lose a loved one to this horrible epidemic. I'm going to tell you what's being done so far with our legal system and how we can help. More people need to be aware of this problem before anything can be done about it, because it's mostly a secret service. First, I'll go over the services, like I said I would, to show you why these people are being stolen. First is labor. Women and children are forced to work in sweatshops, non-stop for these people. They work for little or no pay at all for long hours of the day. These sweatshops are crammed, dangerous, and filthy. Half these people come out with sickly conditions. Think about having to work with hundreds of people in one room with probably no sunlight, no fresh air, no food or water. Can you imagine that every single day? Then there is organ transportation. Do you hear how that sounds? People are being stolen for their organs. This just about violates every right a person is entitled to. Then there are domestic services. This pretty much means they are forced to be maids. Think about having to cater to someone's every need 24/7. This also means they are forced into marriages and relationships and things like that. Lastly, and the most prominent service is sexual service. Most of the reason for human trafficking is selling women for sex. This is where all the money comes from. This keeps human trafficking alive. This was another one of my survey questions. I asked if you guys knew human trafficking made billions of dollars. Most of you didn't know that. So yes, sex trafficking alone makes billions of dollars, not counting the other services. Because there are so many tricks and scandals to get women and children into prostitution, I'm going to tell you them in detail and share some stories. One of their tricks is guilt. They see a young girl who doesn't know any better and takes advantage of that. They see young girls and pay attention to them. They say things to make them feel mature and feel wanted. They will do whatever it takes to make these girls trust them. I'm going to share a story about this very trick about a girl named Nikki. I read this from a library journal in EBSCO by Diane Fulkerson. This little girl was 12 years old, and one day her and her mom got into a fight about being late for school. Nikki stormed out of the house and ran into this man. This man was telling her that she was beautiful and basically anything she wanted to hear. She ended up going back to his place because he said he would buy her dinner. Nikki didn't have a father figure in her life, so this male attention was new and nice for her. She ended up staying with him for a few days. Then suddenly he said to her, "I can't keep paying for you. We need to split the bills equally." He suggested she sell herself. At first she refused, but he guilted her into it. She didn't want to defy him, so she listened. Another trick is literally stealing someone and throwing them into your car or drugging them. I have a story for this too. a good example of this. Did anybody see the movie Taken? Just in case, I'll give you a brief description. These two girls went on a trip to Paris, and when they got there, a guy said to them, "Cabs are expensive here, let's share." So they did. And when the cab dropped the girls off, now this guy knows where they're staying. Next thing these girls know is guys coming into the hotel and taking them. These girls were drugged with heroin and cocaine, so when they woke up, they had no idea where they were. There is no escaping this. Just from seeing news programs and reading current events, stories like guys holding signs for girls in the airport, and the girls going to them because they think they're being guided to their luggage in their hotels, when in reality, they just walk into a life of prostitution. I'll share one last trick they do. Let's say someone sneaks a woman across the border. The way they make them pay them back is entering the life of a prostitute. They do this until they are waived debt-free, which usually takes years, if they let them go at all. After hearing that last example, don't you question border control? Don't we have border patrol officers? Who is letting them in? This sparks my next survey question. I asked if you guys thought the government was involved in this. Most of you responded yes or were shocked to think so. I'm here to say it's not the government as a unit, but it is definitely individuals within the government. It's sad to say that we can't trust the people that are supposed to be protecting us. According to Vienna Forum to Fight Human Trafficking, corruption is one of the major factors to the crime of trafficking in persons. When it comes to corruption, the image I can give you is a border patrol officer pocketing some money to not look at a passport, or a law enforcement officer accepting a forged document for a price. After hearing this, it really makes you feel like there are too many secrets. We can't even trust our own government. Another sad fact about the U.S. is the military embarrassment issue. As said by Keith J. Alred, it is perhaps that the United States and the United Nations have both suffered embarrassing revelations about the demand their deployed troops create for trafficked women. Many countries' militaries, as our own, are known for getting prostitutes because they need the company of a woman. What they don't realize is contributing to human trafficking. What's sad about this particular issue is that it took embarrassment for this to be stopped. The numbers that were published were so high that the U.S. and UN only took action because it became a public embarrassment. Now that you know this is a secret service, and you know that there are individuals in the government contributing to human trafficking, there are still government as a unit trying to stop it. Just recently, in August, a law was passed to stop human trafficking. As said by the APB, or the Associated Baptist Press, they state that Texas is the first state to provide assistance to domestic human trafficking with a landmark law that government signed in August of 2009. This task force trains law enforcement, started programs to connect victims, and began grant programs to organizations that assist the victims. This is great to know that there are actions being taken to help and stop this violent industry. According to Janine Amber in Essence magazine, she tells us that only one study gives any indication of the number of children who are in danger of becoming sexually exploited. This is great, but also this needs to be more done. Like, why is there only one study being done? This is what I mean by them making the minimum effort. It also says in the magazine that an average girl entering this life is 12 to 14 years old, and nearly 300,000 are at risk. Maybe this will show people that this is being too far. This is going way too far. This is not enough being done. That was just kids also, that big number. What about the teenagers and other adults? That almost triples the number when you put them all together. Janine Amber does reassure us that the 2003, the FBI and the Department of Justice are taking action. They launched task forces across the country, saving 700 kids and convicting 300 pimps. This is another step forward, but it's only a baby step. There needs to be more done if we want to keep up with the increasing number of people being taken. One last amazing thing that America does do is blacklisting countries. This means that if a country is trying to sell trafficked women to us or taking our Americans, we cut them off completely. We will not import resources with them or anything if they are involved with human trafficking. I think this is a fantastic way to keep our people safe. American government is not the only way there can be action taken against human trafficking. We as a people can make a difference too.